The countdown has begun to the next edition of the World Energy Council's flagship event, the World Energy Congress, which is set to take place in 2022 in St. Petersburg. The Soviet Union hosted the event once, but this will be the first time it will be held in St. Petersburg. So it's been confirmed that the 2022 edition of the World Energy Congress will be in Russia, specifically St. Petersburg. But at the moment, there's arguably little cause for celebration. There's been the COVID-19 pandemic, demand has fallen, and plans put in place by investors, companies, operators, and consumers have all been dealt a serious blow. Will there actually be anything to talk about in St. Petersburg? Good afternoon, Sergey. Allow me to start by welcoming everyone who has joined us for today's conference. This event marks the beginning of our preparations for the 25th anniversary edition of the World Energy Congress, which, as you point out, will take place in St. Petersburg in October 2022. The Congress would provide a platform to discuss issues surrounding the future of energy and the development of the energy sector. We will look at how the interests of consumers and producers will be taken into account going forward, examine what kind of transition the energy sector will undergo, and consider whether renewable energy sources will dominate in the future. Of course, we can see that we'll have to change our global energy consumption and production forecasts. Plans had been in place, for example, to reduce the percentage of hydrocarbons in the energy mix from 85% to 75% by 2040. That would have represented a decrease of 10% over 20 years. However, I believe that with things the way they are, these forecasts will have to be reviewed, with the percentage reduction ending up being much lower. Even a 5 to 10% change in the energy mix would represent a substantial change for the industry over the course of 10 to 20 years. We are aware of the rapid development of modern technologies, including IT, internet, digital technologies, and cloud-based technologies. These all will have an impact, including on the development of the energy sector. More electric power will be consumed, and companies will be producing it less from hydrocarbons and more from renewable sources.
And we're starting to face up to the realities that Minister Novak has referred to, the new realities of, I think, the greatest financial capital reallocation in history, the restructuring of the energy sector, the new ways of working, and a moment of potentially transformational change. And the COVID crisis has also highlighted, once again, the importance of energy in the everyday life of everybody on this planet, and shown that we can't take normal for granted. And I'm delighted to be here today to launch this series on the road to Congress that will be in St. Petersburg in 2022. Really thrilled that we're going to be in such a prominent energy nation.
Digitalization means reshaping the very logic underpinning both technological and business processes. I should note that digitalization is not only predicated on the development of new technology, but also on changes in consumer behavior. The aim of digitalization is to make the energy grid flexible and able to adapt to challenges while maintaining reliability and continuing to offer easy access to their services. During the process, it is imperative that we take into account the integration of tomorrow's tech solutions. This is absolutely vital. The energy grid must heed the signals and be both manageable and transparent, both for the producer, and this includes microgeneration and renewable energy sources, and the consumer. That is the ideal digital transformation scenario, and one which we're moving towards step by step.
Yeah, from my side, I think we don't know exactly what the future will look like in 100 years. We have always been wrong with every prediction we made in the industry when we look forward for more than 5 years. But what is 100% sure is that over the next years, actually, we have to invest into innovation. And that is not going to change despite COVID. Yeah? So I give you some examples. We are going to see a shift to e-mobility or hydrogen mobility. That's for sure. The automotive companies are investing this way, and this has implications for us as grid operators. We are going to see a storage coming into the system because it helps us to stabilize the volatility which we have in the future. We are going to see a shift from coal to gas because it's just economic. Actually, Germany is going to get out of coal, not because of a political decision, that is a part of it, The reality is it's going to go out just because of economics. That's really what's driving the shift.
I think one of the things, I didn't mention it earlier, but I think the volatility that we've seen in oil prices after the COVID-19 crisis just lends added urgency for the big oil-producing nations to really speed up their diversification efforts as we go into the energy transitions. I mean, there are so many countries that have been hit so hard by this collapse in oil prices, and while they have risen, they still have to go to the IMF seeking emergency support. They're still having to cut their budgets, make very painful choices. So as we think about energy transition, I think the diversification imperative for these oil-producing nations only grows.
We look forward to welcoming all of our colleagues in October 2022. I would like to thank everyone who took part in the discussions today. It's been very interesting. And one more thing. Energy is a driver of the economy and a key industry for the economy. All of us, consumers and producers of energy, have come together to discuss how cutting-edge technology represents the future of energy and how the future of energy will depend on growing competition, market relations, and the technologies to be implemented.